I'm like, all right now, ladies. Yeah. Okay. I think we are officially ready to start here. Just gotta give it a second here to kind of like get caught up. I guess in the meantime, do you have any noteworthy things to say, sir?
Yeah.
Nice, that was a good one.
I just can't think of them at the moment.
Yeah, true. I can't think of them.
It sounds like you're like sawing a wood or something.
Does it?
Yeah.
Like right now?
Sawing, not right now.
It might be I think it might be my chair. My chair is like got a lot of like it's a newer chair, but I think I need to like maybe put some oil on the back of it.
Oil it up.
Oilandchairs.com. That might be a site you probably don't want to go to. Or do you? Okay. I think we're ready to go, sir.
All right.
Okay. So, let's go ahead and start with, you know what it is. You go ahead, Matt.
Nerd news.
Trying that one out.
Think we should respell it. So like spell to make it more extreme.
Yeah.
Be like NYRD.
It's actually not a bad idea.
NEWZ.
Okay.
Nerd news.
It should be called actually Nerd news. Like actually. Yeah, I need to also like go back and like I never got a chance to go back and fix Recommendation Nation because fucking it's spelled. Yeah, I think I spelled it. How's it spelled?
I think it's missing an S.
Oh,
I can't remember.
Here, let me look at it real quick. Recommend.
The Buddy Boys are gonna be pissed.
All like two of them, aka me and you. No, that's not true. Okay, go ahead, sir. You go ahead and lead it off. I'll let you. Yes, sir.
All right. Mine for the week is there's a new trailer out for King Kong vs. Godzilla. Which is coming November 24th. Or actually sometime in March. March 26th.
I mean, November 24th probably sounds more likely from the way things have been going. Hopefully they don't push it back again. Yeah, what?
See the trailer?
No, I didn't even know. I haven't actually been keeping up on any of that stuff.
Well, you're not missing too much.
That sucks.
I mean, don't get me wrong, like, the movies are but it's like as entertaining as watching, a cutscene from a video game because it's just some good animation, I guess.
Right.
But anything not involving the monsters fighting is like some of the most unwatchable stuff I've ever seen in a movie. I'm especially talking about the first two Godzilla movies, the latest American versions.
I didn't see like the latest
really
one.
Bad. It's really, really bad. But I mean, the human stuff in the original Godzilla movies was nothing to write home about. But at least then they tried to be like funny a lot of the times and silly. Man, these movies are like everything is so serious and like all the characters are crying all the time and like they're trying to make it real emotional. And it's just like, come on.
Hey, nothing can be funny, dude. It's all serious.
I know.
I know.
That's what we do on this podcast. Complain about stuff.
I know. I know. He just keeps doing. I know. I'm like, I'm like, complaining about Godzilla was not in your making. It's like, I don't know why I can't get that song out of my head.
I don't either. It's disturbing.
Yeah, it's not the greatest thing. That's for damn sure. But it.
Yeah.
I think it's like really the only one where we've actually I think that's the only movie we watched recently that actually had like a theme song, like with words.
I think every movie should have its own song played over the end credits.
I agree. Yeah, that's something that they used to do all the time, and then they kind of just stopped.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Right. Somebody that like after you've seen the movie, they rap about what happened, right, or like what the characters are about. Yeah, I completely agree.
Like Hoosiers should have had a rap.
It's like da 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 da. I'm like, wait, what?
It's like HOOSIR power.
It's just a song about how what's his face? Bobby Knight or whatever thinks that like somebody wants to be a god for like 15 minutes. treated like a god for 15 minutes. I'd be like, ugh. Okay, so I got 2 because I wasn't sure if you were going to do either one of these, and you didn't actually do either one, so that's fine. No, you're good. Sorry. I mean, I'm like, shame. One is, you remember Fallout New Vegas?
Yeah.
They made like a new mod for it, like I guess that by like developers like not of the original game that came out recently. They'd been working on it for like years and years and years, and it finally came out, and people were able to like download it and play it and be like, holy shit, this is fucking awesome. But just like a couple of days ago, they took it offline because one of the people that was involved, like one of the developers that like, it was like all free developing, the guys didn't get paid for it or anything because it wasn't like Bethesda, it was like unofficial stuff. One of them was found to have like been involved with a bunch of like animated like pedophilia shit, and then people kind of brought up like there's like a quest where you can like sell, or you can like make like one of the like young teenage girls like a sex slave in the game. So yeah, I was like, huh? Like, dude, that's, I don't know. But, yeah, where was I going with that? Oh, yeah, that was one of them. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
That reminds me of, there was, like, this week also with Fallout, or not Fallout, but what's, Cyberpunk?
Okay, yeah.
I guess people are, like, they ask people to stop manipulating Keanu Reeves, like, and,
Oh, yeah.
Animated model do, like, obscene stuff, just because part of that game is, like, a super detailed model of Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, he's legit in the game, except for he, like, never really acts like, I mean, he's like a total asshole, and, like, in the game, which, in real life, and in most of the movies he's in, he's not, but, like, yeah, like, one of the things you can do in that game is, like, romance people, and, like, yeah, I guess they were doing, like, all kinds of, like, like, gross shit. But I was...
They had to have known that was going to happen, though.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid, too, that apparently they were doing it, like, they did all these patches, which the game needs, like, hardcore, but, like, they didn't patch a bunch of, like, stuff that needed to be done, but instead their first, like, thing was to, like, go and try to, like, fix this whole thing with Keanu Reeves' character, and I'm like, like, who cares? I'm pretty sure, unless I guess, like, Keanu Reeves' agent was like, hey, can you do something about this? Because it's kind of fucking weird for Keanu Reeves. But, like, yeah, I don't know. Like you said, it's like they had to have known. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even know if I should even bring up this other news topic, because...
If you're not sure, I'd say probably no.
Okay. Well, no, it's more so, like, the amount of time it might take up. So it's
okay.
Like, yeah.
Is it Star Wars related?
What do you think?
Yeah, probably don't bring it up.
Okay. I'll save that one for next week. Okay. So that's funny. But Probably don't bring it up. Okay. So you know what time it is? Maybe.
Recommendation Nation.
I actually did. I just while we were doing our thing, I actually corrected it, so it's spelled correctly now. So the Buddy Boys are in good hands with Allstate. Yeah. Okay. So actually, go ahead and you go first because like you sound kind of quiet. So let me just check. I just need to make sure that I want to hear you talk for a second.
How about now?
Sorry, this is like.
How about now?
How about now? Yeah. Okay, that's perfect. Okay. So
All right. Well, mine for this week is the Lost Themes of John Carpenter.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Tell people what these
He's
are.
released a few albums over the past few years of like new music, but they're designed to be like movie themes that aren't actually associated with movies, but they're like as high quality as his everything he's done throughout his career. So like it's as good as like the Halloween theme and Escape from New York. It's just like more stuff like that, and it's really really good.
Yes.
And there's a third, Lost Themes 3 is coming out this spring.
Yeah, it's like it's awesome, but it's also kind of like bittersweet because when you listen to all of them, you're like, cool. Well, this is like movies that like I wish that he would have made and stuff because there's so many. He's made so many great movies.
Yeah.
Kind of like besides the Halloween movies, he's kind of like going and making now. It's like for the longest time, like he's kind of given off the thing of like I really don't want to make movies anymore, but maybe it's kind of it's changed.
Stuff now, I don't think he's doing too much with.
Right.
Like, just making sure he gets a paycheck, which, hey, I don't blame him.
Yeah.
He totally deserves it, but yeah,
right.
it is bittersweet because there's like 20 years worth of time where he stopped making movies.
Right. It's like, ugh. That sucks.
He pretty much just plays video games and watches basketball now. Which, hey, I don't blame him again.
He became you. Or did he?
I'd shake his hand, his dead cold fish hand.
Did you get to shake his hand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt like a dead cold fish.
Yeah.
It was creepy.
It's funny because when we met him, it was like
taking John Carpenter's hand.
He was like an old fuck then. He was a master of the macabre. I'm like,
look, am I shaking hands with a cadaver?
He's a fucking murderer. Okay, so my recommendation is I don't know. It seems like actually, you went music this time, but usually you've been doing movies. But this time I do not have a movie like you have been doing, but I will continue down the route of I guess I've been doing video games. I recommend Onimusha for the PlayStation 2, but it's also been re-released on PC and PlayStation 4 and all the next generation consoles with like not necessarily like Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 3 where they did like a graphical remake. It's like a HD remaster, and they made like the controls better, but it's a game that was developed by Capcom back in the day when they were like on fire with like Resident Evil and like Devil May Cry and Street Fighter and all those games. And it's pretty much, I think at the time especially, I was like totally like all about this game because instead of like Resident Evil where you have to conserve ammo and stuff, it's like you are in that same kind of situation but in like old Japan, but like you use a sword so you don't have to waste like ammo and shit. So like it was I guess it was kind of more action-y, but it also like it was still like a horror game because there was stuff that happened in the game that you were like, this is fucking weird. So instead of zombies and stuff, it was like demons. And it was kind of like a mix between like Resident Evil and then not as like action as like Devil May Cry, but like kind of in between. So
Cool. Well, I didn't know about the re-release. That's cool. I think I either played it a little bit or like, watched you play it back in the day, and I think it was like too hard for me, too difficult.
yeah, especially back in the day because it had like the tank controls, but they like when they came out with it like just last year or 2019 now, I guess. So technically it was like December 31st or not December 31st, but like I don't remember. But like they had the tank controls, but then they added like you could use the stick to just literally wherever you go, like, and it makes it so much easier. Kind of just the way that like I feel like it should be, you know. It's like the tank controls are kind of like done. So cool. So I had this random thought the other day, and I'll share it real quick here on the podcast. This doesn't have to be a segment. It just was something that I thought maybe this might spark, like, maybe it might spark something. I don't know if I came up with this idea right before I went to bed, but this might not be a good idea. Random thought was, so I've told you about like my idea back in the day of like somebody throwing up on a hibachi grill, right? And how I thought it would be like funny at the time, but like, you know, it's horrible because it would like smell and stuff. So like over time, I think it's probably come out, or not come out, but it's been like, it's probably not something I'd be like super into now. But like, the reason why I thought of this is because like, even though I used to think that was like really, really funny and stuff, one of the most like horrifying things that I can remember like I've ever seen in a movie is like in like when a character vomits because of like terror or something like that, like in Italian horror movies, like that one movie we watched where like that priest made that person like throw up their guts. Or like in Amityville Horror or whatever it was, or one of those movies. I forget it was Amityville Horror or like one of the what's it called? One of those movies, and like a nun goes to a house and then she leaves, and then halfway down the road she like stops and like pukes because of like the evil involved. And I was like, eh. So anyway, I just thought that was...
I'm really curious about what...
About what movie it was?
No, like, where are you going?
Oh, that was it. It was just a random thought, I think.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yeah. So, like...
I gotcha. I thought it was going to be, like, the new segment is going to be vomits.
You're like, So, okay, so... Like I said, maybe, like... I did say maybe this would be a good idea, maybe not, so...
You're basically, like, are triggered by that.
I just, it's very rare, it's a very rare occurrence. It's like the only thing I've ever seen in a movie that's like a horror movie that is, like, just weird. Like, as far as, like, it's... Somebody was so... I think it's kind of, like, along the same lines of, like, Cthulhu, like Eldritch kind of stuff, where like something is so horrifying that like it makes, you know, because it's like if somebody gets scared and they scream, it's like, you know, that's expected, or they run. But for someone to be so scared that they like vomit, it's kind of like or like somebody's hair turns white, like in Evil Dead 2. I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know, it's just kind of weird.
That happened to me. But remember the whole story with me and John and Kyle when we were waiting for
You were like so scared to go to school you vomited?
No, he was so sick and like...
Oh, yeah!
He was puking in the yard and like it was so disgusting that I vomited.
He looked at you and you vomited all your guts out. And you died. Yeah. Okay, so, here is the, topic from Son of Darrell, best Bond villain. You know, honestly, I think I'm fucking this up. I think I should probably not spring these on you. I should probably give you, like...
No, that's okay. That's okay. I can roll with it. But there's so many to choose from.
Right, yeah, no, that's why I probably should have...
and say Goldfinger. But he's right up there.
I think the only
and
reason...
Me, like...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think one of the only reasons why he's even like high up there is because he's part of like one of the better Bond movies, definitely, and he's part of an overall like organization.
Yeah. The ones that are coming to mind for me are the female ones, because I think they need, like, I always love when they have a female villain, and they've only done it a handful of times, but like Rosa Klebb, the old woman who had a knife in her shoe.
Was that like one of the Russian ones, or?
Yeah, from Russia with Love. She tries to like kick James Bond to death with a knife.
Right.
Why wouldn't you just like try to stab him? Wouldn't it be easier?
Yeah.
But I think my favorite, at least at this moment, is Xenia Onatopp.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just because, like, first of all, that's a hilarious name, but her method of dispatching men by like crushing them with her thighs,
right?
Like, doesn't get any more James Bond than that.
Yeah, true.
So, gotta love Xenia. What about you?
I was on a big like Jaws kick there for a while. I remember I actually used to like make stories about how
the shark.
It's come full circle. Talk about him becoming a good guy. So I don't know. That's kind of also like, I don't know. Well, yeah, because I mean, if we're talking like villain, we're talking like the main villain of the movies. Like, nope, none of those. But it's like, yeah, I would assume. It, like he probably meant like henchmen as well. I don't know. I always liked like Christopher Lee, Scaramanga. He's legit. Even though his like method of killing makes no sense. It's like, why does it have to be a golden bullet? A regular bullet would kill you just as regular, like it would just be as lethal as like a golden one. And
why does the gun only hold one bullet?
Yeah, that kind of seems like it says like he kills for the thrill of it and shit, and it's like, so yeah. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of like great Bond villains. There's a couple of I don't know. There's a couple of shitty ones. Some of the Pierce Brosnan movies had some bad Bond villains, like the dude that was a multimedia conglomerate, and like, it's like, oh my god, this fucking sucks. So, and then the last thing is worst Bond one-liners. He actually nominated one. I guess he had one that says, "I guess Christmas comes more than once a year."
Well, then he got the topic wrong, because that's the best. That's the best Bond one-liner. For me, this one's easy. It's always been my favorite, just because it's so messed up. But it's when Bond says he has a lot of guts after a guy gets ground up.
Yeah.
Like an ice chipper, and then like his body just turns into Gibbs.
Yeah. The guy is fucking killed, which is actually, I think it's one of the only movies that I remember seeing Bond-wise that has like Gibbs in it.
Yeah, it's a shocking gore moment.
And fucking, like, the dude goes into, like, a fucking snowblower or a chipper or whatever, and he comes out the other end, like, and he's like, I guess he had a lot of guts. And it's like, okay. Holy fuck, dude. I don't know if it's really a one-liner, but, like, a part in James Bond that I never got was, like, the one where it stars, I think, like, the one that stars, is it George Lazenby? And, like, is that the one where he only did one?
Yeah.
And they go to the snow retreat, and like on his crest he's got like 3 balls or something, and then like there's a part in the movie where he pulls down his like pants, and like the woman's like, it is true, I guess, that he has 3 balls.
We need to get to the bottom of that.
But
I think we've been wondering about that for like 25 years now.
It
makes I don't get it.
It's also, if you had 3 balls, it's like, I don't know how much.
Wouldn't necessarily be delighted by seeing that.
Not only that, but like I think that it's kind of like a person that was like, maybe like, if we were in middle school, we would have wrote something like that thinking, oh, he's got an extra ball, he's even better at sex. But, like, I don't think that's how, it's not how it works, so... You know what I mean? Like, somebody that didn't understand, like an alien wrote it or something, like...
Yeah, we need to put in some research and figure out what the deal is with that.
Right, we'll have to fucking do it. I'm tired of it! Okay.
We're retiring this podcast until we can figure it out.
3 balls? Yay or nay?
I'm gonna have to look at some microfiche.
I was gonna say micro penises. Gotta look at some micro penises. Okay, so let's get on to the main event here. This week, Spotlight was nominated by Son of Darrell, friend Eric, that also nominated the topic for last week and the topic for this week. Normally we do 1 topic per podcast, but I felt that we didn't do a super great job last time with the sword thing, so I gave him I gave him 2. But so he nominated this movie called Real Men, which I had never heard of before, and so shockingly you had never heard of before. Like, I was shocked by that because you know a lot of movies. Matt's more of the movie guy than I am. So, like, But anyway, Real Men is a 1987 American comedy film starring James Belushi. Yeah, they bill him as James Belushi in this movie, even though it's like everything else, it's like Jim Belushi, so I don't know. I guess that was before he went by Jim Belushi. And John Ritter as the heroes. Suave, womanizing CIA agent Nick Pirandello, and weak and ineffectual insurance agent Bob Wilson. So, okay, before we get started, go ahead and... You wanted to talk about this trailer that you sent me that was only on the Blu-ray that I didn't see because I didn't have the Blu-ray, but you sent me a clip of it, so I actually did watch it.
Yeah.
It shows no footage from the movie, so we won't...
That's why I wanted to talk about it.
Right. It was it was almost like a teaser trailer like they do, like sometimes where they're like, hey, here's a new Batman movie, but we don't have actual footage or we don't want to show anything yet. So here's like a teaser. So, but it doesn't show anything from the movie. Also, so my only note I kind of failed on this one. I just put, I have no clue what the fuck they were thinking with that trailer.
Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and like talk about it? Because you probably have more notes about it.
So the trailer just like cuts back and forth to those guys talking about random stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like make you learn about what their characters are going to be like.
Right.
I always appreciate that when the trailer is made that doesn't show any footage.
Mm-hmm. No,
because
yeah.
trailers in general are largely really lame, and they always have been. But every now and then
Mm-hmm.
you get like some originality, which I always appreciate. I always thought that like making trailers, you should just grab a quick like 1 or 2 minute scene from the movie and play that to like get people excited.
I mean, that's what they do when people go on like talk shows, is they'll play like the scene that they think is gonna best represent the movie, and they play it like on Conan or like somebody else like will they'll play that, and it's like it encapsulates what because like what'll happen is, yeah, I agree, trailers are lame as fuck, because a lot of times what'll happen is the guy that's involved with doing the trailer like completely misses the mark, and then like that will completely make like a segment of the population not see the movie because it looks stupid. Like it'll make the movie look like shit, and then years later I'll be like, holy shit, I'll watch it and be like, man, this movie was awesome, why didn't I see this in theaters? Oh, the trailer was fucking horrible. So I agree.
But I don't think this was a good trailer.
Right, it was a different idea, and like I do like it, like the idea of it, but yeah, I thought it was like, I don't know, I feel like it reminded me of the segments that like we filmed and put into like our ghost show we wrote years ago, but it was like those were split up between actual like footage and stuff going on. This was legit, like I'd be like, my name, like they'd be like, Mike, and I'd be like, I really like to play, games, and hang out at home. And then they'd be like, Matt, and you'd be like, I like going out and, riding around my monster truck and all this other shit. And, like, we're supposed to be opposites. It's like The Odd Couple or something. It's supposed to be contrasting things. So that's literally the whole thing. But it's like, I felt like it just didn't, I don't know. It was weird. Like, it was a weird trailer. Because there was also, like, no music. It was just completely silent. Like, yeah. I can't really describe it. And unless you watch it, it's like, yeah. I mean, it's also kind of like how the movie was to a degree. Like, I can't really it was hard for me to describe this movie. But, we will try here.
One other fact is, it was released on September 25th, 1987. It came in 15th place at the box office and made $241,000 and was out of theaters after that.
Yeah,
it only lasted a week.
Well, I heard the real reason for that was because, like, United Artists, like, had some severe fuck up with another movie, and, like, they just didn't have the money to, like, keep it in theaters too. Like, there was, like, another movie they did that was called, like, oh fuck, I think it was a huge Western epic they did that, like, completely fucked. And yeah, they were going through some rough times then. So, like,
yeah, that's funny. But the other thing that's interesting is another Jim Belushi movie was out at the same time and was actually in second place that same weekend.
Nice.
The Principal, which is actually one of the better ones. One of the better Jim Belushi movies.
That's saying something.
We should do that for the podcast because it's pretty outrageous. Like, he's the new principal at, like, a rough school, kind of like Dangerous Minds, but, like, way more extreme because the kids, like, try to kill him and stuff, and I think, like, he kills some of the kids. Like, it's pretty good.
Sounds like a barn burner. So yeah, I guess we got to do this thing. So,
yeah. Well, do we? No one's making. We don't have a gun put to our head. I guess Eric's making us. So I guess we do have.
Yeah, our reputations are on the line, sir. So you're like, do you really care about your reputation? I'm like,
where do you even begin?
Yeah.
Like, so this is a comedy.
Right.
But it's the style of humor. It seems to be like.
It's like dad humor.
Let's just do one random thing after another.
Yeah, it's like dad joke, SNL, like one joke after another. There is a plot, definitely in this movie, but like, and well, you can say that like any movie is literally just a bunch of scenes put together, which that's what it is. But like, this is that in the most extreme sense of the word. So let's just I'll just go through my notes here.
What'd you think overall?
I don't know. I don't want to say that I didn't like this movie because there were definitely parts of it that I thought John Ritter and Jim Belushi in this movie were actually like pretty legit. But like, there was literally nobody else in this movie I'd ever fucking heard of. It was like a cast of like 2 people. You know what I mean? Like, not like no names don't mean anything, but like literally like I had to like find out if this was a made for TV movie, but it wasn't. So that's why I was kind of like a little surprised, because I was thinking this was going to be like a Lifetime movie or something, because like at times there was like really gross stuff in the movie. Like Jim Belushi was like a sex fiend, but then there was like stuff where like the action was like lame as fuck, like, which we'll get into here in a second. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I thought it started out pretty strong, and I laughed pretty hard a few times.
Yeah, there was some. I mean, that's the thing, is like the bits in themselves, a lot of them were pretty funny. It was kind of like if you were to watch like a fucking full length like hour and 20 minute like Three Stooges movie, Well, not really, because that would have been probably funnier, but, like, I don't know, I just can't even fucking, I've never watched a movie like this, where it's literally, like, there's a plot, you know what they have to do, and they know what they have to do, but it's literally, like, they just filmed, like, a bunch of scenes and stitched them together, like, to be like, hey, this is Monday, this is Tuesday, this is Wednesday, this is Thursday, this is Friday, you know, because they have to get to a certain place at a certain time, and it's like, yeah, but, yeah, anyway, okay, let me just start, so, what did you think, about this movie? I guess I should ask you. Did you like it?
I thought it was not great. I thought it started out really strong. Like the first few scenes, I was like, "Oh man, this is gonna be like a hidden gem." But there's a lot of scenes that happen later that are like total duds, and I was like, "Oh man, this is rough."
Yeah, I feel like they kind of petered off towards the end. Like they kind of wanted to get over writing the script or something.
But I think, like you said, John Ritter and Jim Belushi are like entertaining enough.
Yes.
It gets you through. Like at least they're trying.
If they hadn't had like these two people in this movie, this would have probably been like one of the worst movies I've ever watched, honestly. Because John Ritter is like the master of physical comedy, and like Jim Belushi was just so like, you know, like quick with shit that like their chemistry was actually. I was actually shocked they didn't do more movies together, because like, I mean, maybe they had and I just didn't like find them once they did, but like I felt their chemistry in this movie was pretty good, honestly. Like, okay, so John Ritter trench coats through the woods. That was like the first note I have. I found out later this was not John Ritter. This was not his character. This was like, I think somebody that was a lookalike for him. And then Jim Belushi at this point is billed as James Belushi. He's a wild man. What's my next note? What is
I really
this?
liked his scene. Well, first I thought it was funny because John Ritter gets like he takes a few steps and then gets instantly killed, which is always a great way to start a movie. Like just see a guy get killed.
Right, I didn't understand what was going on. So like that whole thing, like. So okay, so I want to compare this to like the Bond film where Sean Connery gets killed. He gets killed in like the first little bit of the movie. And then you find out that this was a dude wearing like a lifelike Sean Connery mask that they were like training agents on to kill Bond. So you're like, holy fuck, dude, this is what a way to open a movie. This movie, he gets killed, and dudes like come up that are like, I guess with his agency or something, maybe. But they're like investigating the crime later, but there's no way for you to know that this is like later on. It's like literally they just kind of appear and like, you know what I mean? It's like a man is killed, and then like the police show up and are investigating the crime scene, but there's like no like, you know, next day. It's like literally they all film this in like the same second. It's like, dude. It's like, man, this movie's a thing for radio. So
I really liked the first scene with Jim Belushi when he's kind of like having a small adventure.
I actually didn't write any notes about that because I didn't really know what to fucking say. It was like he's
going through a battle, and he's pretty much like an American James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's doing like superhuman acts, but he's acting very casual about it. Like,
right.
Like he knows he's gonna be able to like use a shoestring to make
right.
Make a what is it, like a grappling hook to swing?
Yeah, it was like a bunch of like unstoppable shit going on. Which is weird because his character never becomes like it's not like his character is ever like shown to like not be a badass in this movie. It's just like taken that he's kind of like if fucking Bill Murray in Ghostbusters was like an unstoppable badass, because he legit just like.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because that was one of my notes. and I don't know if you thought more about it, but I thought a lot about Bill Murray when I was watching this movie because, first of all, Jim Belushi was kind of reminding me of him,
right,
with his character, because he plays kind of like a guy who's like disconnected from the drama of the movie,
right.
But then I wondered if this movie would have been better with Bill Murray instead of Jim Belushi. What do you think?
I don't think so. I think Jim Belushi like did just as good a job as like Bill Murray would have done in this movie.
Damn, man.
I mean,
I think Jim Belushi is just as good as Bill Murray. You heard it here first, folks.
Fuck Bill Murray. I'm honestly not a huge fan of Bill Murray. I don't hate him, and I know that like I've seen a lot of great movies with him in it, but I feel like he's in a lot of like he's kind of like Harrison Ford for me. He's kind of like a dick for no reason. Like, I don't know. Like, whoop-de-doo, you were fucking in Ghostbusters. Like, fuck off.
I'm not one of those people that worships.
But having said that, I mean, he is a great talent, and I'm not saying that like him and Jim Belushi are on the same fucking thing. It's just I don't think Jim Belushi and John Ritter were like the least of this movie's issues. Like, replacing them with like say like two other actors of possible like better caliber would not have helped this movie at all. Like, in the sense. Right. Like, if anything, they should have replaced some of the other actors with, they should have replaced maybe, like, the main, like, CIA boss with, like, someone like Bill Murray or somebody. You know, but, like, legit, it was, like, a cast of two. Like, nobody else had any charisma in this movie, as far as, like... But we'll get into that.
Did you have a note about when he finally, like, tracks down the... I don't even know who he's trying to track down, but he makes him think he swallowed a suicide pill.
Yeah, I actually haven't even gotten to that yet, shockingly. So, like, I have a thing that says, what is this market scene? It's, like, playing, like, a Yiddish joke music or something. That was, in fact, the theme song to this movie, which I didn't know at the time. But it's, like... Yeah,
the score is pretty
it's like... Yeah, it's just like... Huh.
Circus music with, like, a fiddle over top of it.
Right. I said I feel like this is a made-for-TV movie or something. Bunch of spy shit.
Like an episode of, like, Perfect Strangers.
Right. Bunch of spy shit happening at the market. Okay, so yeah, he like tracks this guy down, and I guess they're on the same team or something, and he like makes this guy swallow like this pill, called the 607 painful death kit, which like almost seems like something that was made up on the spot. Like, I can't believe something like named so lame, fucking, you know what I mean, would have been written into the script, but the way it was delivered, it was like, was just complete confidence. So, but yeah, yeah, this whole scene is just like, he's pretty much like, you know, you need to tell me where the shit is, like the map or whatever, and all this other stuff. And he's like, we're on the same side. And he's just like, whatever, man, you know, like, pretty much he's trying to get him to, like, give him the information. He's just like, I wrote down one thing that he said here, and he says, you got another minute until you die. Like, his delivery was like, I was like, was that a fucking flub, or, but no, it was not.
I was laughing at that.
Yeah, that was a pretty, like, I mean, that's the thing is, like, there was a lot of times when, like, Jim Belushi and John Ritter were cracking me the fuck up in this movie, but, like, they were hindered by, like, the editing and, like, the pace of the movie. Like, it was just, like, all over the place sometimes. Like, in certain spots like this, it was super strong, but then in, like, other spots when they're, like, in a house surrounded by guys, it was, like, I felt like that made the movie come to a crawl for, like, way too long. He made it, apparently, and then, like, he made him swallow his own button, like, once he got what he wanted. He's like, oh, by the way, that wasn't actually, like, poison. It was, like, you swallowed your own button. And I was just like, that was pretty, like, clever thing to do. But, like...
And he punches him in the face.
Yeah.
Which was one of the biggest laughs of the movie.
Yeah, I was like, huh?
Just a punch out of nowhere, just punch someone out.
Yeah, that... Dude, this movie... So, somehow... Okay. So he, like, walks up to, like, his car, but, like, he sees, like, footprints. And, like, somehow Belushi knows that somebody put a bomb in his car, but it wasn't just a car bomb. Like, you put your foot on the gas and it blows up. He threw, like, a rock at the car and it explodes. And I was like, dude, that's not fucking how car bombs, like, work at all.
Sensitive time bomb.
Right. I was like, okay, well, they're just counting on the Jim Belushi to go, like, touch his car. No one else to touch it. No birds. Like, even if a bird took a shit flying over his car, it would have blown up. So, like, I was like, okay. That's when I was like, okay, here we go with this movie. So now we're getting into, like, the part where, like he does all this badass shit, for the, kind of like you see how much of a badass he is, in this movie. So, like, he's kind of like part MacGyver, part James Bond, part, like, Demolition Man. Because he, like, is doing all this shit and he's unstoppable. But it's played up kind of, like, for laughs. So, like, he, like, grabs his fork and, like, uses it to lockpick a door. And then, like, he looks out the window and there's, like, a car full of dudes that show up. And, like, he's, like... I think there's an ADR part where, like, he's, like, says Russins, because he's like, Russins. And I'm like, huh? I put freaking out of control action with invincibility. First boobs on buddy shots, because he's like, this dude comes in to, like, kill him, and he's like, sees, like, pretty much like the act of sex, but it's like, he just sees the covers, like, going up and down over a lady. And then, like, Jim Belushi, like, he's like, the guy's like, like, smiling and, like, laughing at it, I guess. And, like, then Jim Belushi, like, fucking James Bonds it and, like, takes the cover off and, like, shoots the guy with a gun. And I was just like, dude, that was pretty sweet. But, like...
And the woman's like, do you have to leave?
Yeah, she's like...
Into it.
She's like, do you want me to do this again? He's just like, maybe later.
At this point, like, I was loving this movie.
Yeah, like, so I was like, so far this character is like James Bond and Batman. He, like, knows everything, because he knows, not only does he, like, know what to do in the situation, like, he has shit planned out ahead of time, knowing what people are going to do, like, 10 steps before they're going to do it. So maybe that's why throughout this whole movie he seems to not give a fuck about anything. Like, his character is just like, you know, like, for the most part, he's so on top of things, he's like, But, like, so the reason why I say that is because this next scene where he, like, takes, I mean, unless I miss anything else in that, like, action scene, I can't really think of anything that happened.
No,
like,
keep going.
So, like, he has the map, and he brings it, you know, so, like, they ask for the map, and he brings it a piece of paper, and an agent grabs it and throws it out the window, which, you know, it's like, oh, shit, this guy's, like, CIA, he's, like, a double agent, so he's actually working for the Russians, because he's like, you'll never get it now, and, like, they take him away. There's, like, these random two guys that, like, grab him and take him away. So he throws it out the window to a guy who grabs it, and runs to a car, and they drive away, and, like, they take him away as a spy, but, like, then, like, the CIA, like, mastermind guy, or, like, the CIA boss is like, oh, shit, and he's like, that wasn't the map, and, like, Belushi knew they were gonna do it, and wrote on a note saying that, like, he was onto them. I was like, huh? So he knew that the CIA boss's assistant was, like, a double agent, and was gonna grab it from his hand, throw it out the window to a guy waiting to take it to the Russians. And so he didn't give him the map. He gave him a piece of paper that said, fuck you, pretty much, on it. And I was like, okay, this is still legit. You know, this is, like, totally like Batman, where he's got, like, 800 contingencies in place. But but then it kind of gets to like John Ritter's character here, and it says like, or it's like there's a garage with a door on the outside of the garage. I said okay, which I was like, I guess that's old school style or something, which to me made even less fucking sense because later on in this like movie, like in this, I guess in this same like area before they switch scenes, he goes out to his garage through his house. So I thought that like maybe the garage was like kind of detached to a degree, like there was no way to get in the house from the garage besides going out through that little door. No, there's just like a door in the garage door, like, which kind of defeats the purpose of like having a garage door like down, because then somebody could just go in through that door and steal your car. But whatever. I thought it was weird. I'd never seen something like that before. John Ritter is a lookalike for the agent that got killed at the beginning. Just now they made that somewhat clear, I guess. I don't know. That's the biggest issue I had with this movie. One of the biggest issues was like things sometimes just aren't like written clear. They're like either people will get it or we don't of the decade. Either people will like, get it
makes sense from this point on,
or they won't, but we don't give a fuck either way. Just on to the next scene of like pretty much like this skit we have. So like I guess he confronts these men that like stole his kid's bike and they beat him up in the lamest way possible. They like hit him and then they're like, "Oh, let me help you," and they step on his shoe and then push him into a box of packing peanuts. But then like the next scene it shows him like at his house like groaning and moaning like he had like fallen asleep. And like how the fuck would that have like knocked you out, or would that have even hurt? Like you literally were like went to the Discovery Zone. You were like, wee, fucking fell into like packing peanuts. It was like the lamest fucking like way to beat somebody up. I guess I'm maybe used to like somebody getting their ass beat, you know what I mean? So like in a movie when like dudes are like, you came to the wrong fucking place, dude. This is, you know, it's too late for you to leave. They like beat the fuck out of somebody. But here it was like they just, you know, they were like, let's just push this guy into fucking a box. Like, okay, whatever. So he hears some noises and he goes out to check the garage. What could it be? Well, it's fucking, what the fuck is John Ritter doing? He fucking grabs the fucking broom and like starts assaulting the fuck out of like one of the shelves with it for some reason. This was like one of the weirdest parts of the movie to me, because like it was like over the top Three Companies John Ritter humor, but like kind of weird version of it, because he was just fucking taking a broom to like this shelf. I didn't understand that. In my presence here upsetting you, Bob? Hell no! That part was actually kind of funny, I thought. That's what he had, like, the gun or whatever, and he's like, you can have this gun. And he's like, oh, okay, thank you. And then, like, John Ritter fucking straight up empties the chamber, but it's fucking, like, empty. Like, he put no bullets in it. So John Ritter would have killed the fuck out of, like, Belushi with the gun he gave him. I was like, holy fuck, dude. Like, I mean, I know that guy was like, you know, breaking it, like, kind of like an intruder and stuff. But, like, he didn't hold him up or anything. He literally just cold pulled the fucking trigger, like, 10 times on him. I was like,
that was pretty funny.
Holy fuck. So Belushi and Ritter have pretty good chemistry in this. I put Belushi made a gun out of parts in John Ritter's garage, which I thought was pretty legit.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Before that, I can't remember the exact line, but it was the hardest I laughed in the whole movie when John Ritter's like, "And you never will again," and he tries to like assault.
Oh yeah.
The broom, unless you fill out an application.
Because he turns, he's about to clock him with the broom, but he turns around and like he's like, God, oh man. They're gonna shoot at us, aren't they? Probably. That's what they brought the guns for, Bob. There's like a lot of lines in this movie that like are hilarious, and then there's lines that like don't really make sense. Like, and I just overall, like, there was a part later on that like we'll talk about where like there's gunfire happening and it's like being shot at, and he's like, I hear stuff, I hear noises. And I'm like, huh? They're running away, and he's like, they're destroying my ducks! Because they're shooting, and it's like, yeah, this part's just, like, super goofy. There's, like, a part where, like, I had to rewind to kind of even see what the fuck happened, because it was, like, I don't know. It was all over the place. Belushi beats the hell out of the fence when they're trying, like, once they kind of escape. You remember what part I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Belushi says John Ritter's wife is cheating on him, and he tries to beat the shit out of Belushi, but it doesn't work well. Like, I was like, he, like, manhandles the fuck out of, like, John Ritter. I was like, damn. My next line was, weird cuts in this movie makes it feel like, I don't know. That was the note. It's like the way this was shot is a Lifetime movie. Belushi's character is a dick in this movie. Las Vegas Tuesday. So this movie, like, uses these, like, things where they... See, that's how, like, disjointed this movie is. Is they have to specifically... So, the whole thing is they have to get to Washington by Friday. Like, evening. To deliver this thing to a certain... You know, a certain party. But it's so disjointed that if they didn't put these in here, you would have no fucking clue when any of this took place or where. Because there's no, like, one area looks exactly like the next area. I'm pretty sure this was all shot in one area, and they just, you know, chopped it up. You know, because they literally have, like, 5 different areas where this is. But, like, they have to do, like, Las Vegas Tuesday, and then, like, when we get to... I wrote down each one here, but it's like... Next line I have is, I hope I haven't messed up anything. And he's like, me too, Bob. Like, John Ritter and Jim Belushi's, like, stuff in this is, like, pretty, like, dry sometimes. It's pretty funny, though.
The banter.
Yeah. So, John Ritter gets into the car, and he's like, I'm not coming out. And, Belushi goes around splashing liquid onto it, and he's like, you didn't like this mission from the start. I totally understand, Bob. And he's like, stop treating me like a child. And he's like, okay. And he puts the gasoline canister that he's been splashing, like, on the car, on the, like, the hood, or not the hood, the front of the car so he can see it. And he pulls out a match, and he instantly gets out, and he's like, okay, I'll come out. I was like, Jesus. So, they've been negotiating with men in flying saucers. If they don't get to Washington by Friday, the deal's off. So that's, like, the whole premise of this movie, is that, like, you know, they're trying to get to Washington by Friday. So,
the whole point of this movie is they have to give aliens a glass of water.
Right.
When it gets to that point, it's like, oh.
Right.
It's crazy.
So, there's a pen they have, or that Belushi has, that, like, because he goes through all these things to, like, try to convince John Ritter, like, I forget what the other things are, but he finally gets to the thing where, like, he shows off this pen that hovers, and then it, like, homes back to their galaxy. But before that, he did, like, some other shit that, like, he drove it through a baseball, and he wrote with it. And, like, he's like, see? Fucking, there's no way that this pen wasn't given to me by aliens. And John Ritter's like, dude, you could do that with a regular pen. And he's just like, oh. It was just kind of like, why didn't you start with that? Also, like, this movie plays it like, I thought that was going to be a joke. Like, that was not what it was going to be. But at the end of this movie, there are fucking aliens. Like, or quote-unquote aliens. We'll talk about that, too. Gunshots. John Ritter, I hear something. I was like, okay. The Russians want the map. They'd kill just to get a chat with the UFOs. This is the only movie I've ever fucking seen, though, where they say UFOs like UFOs. Like, I've never heard that before. Like, I think, like, when UFOs were first a thing, maybe people mispronounced it, but then it got to a point where everybody knew to say UFOs. Like, you know, he's like, the UFOs. I'm like, okay. They're sending in Dolores or Dolowski or some Russian lady is the top negotiator. And she, like, comes in and her accent is fucking horrible. Like, it felt like it was all over the place. And then she, like, this is the scene I was talking about where it's, like, literally it takes, like, forever. Because they go into this room. So, like, before this, John Ritter's wearing, like, a sports coat. And then Belushi goes into the room with this lady and they have sex, apparently. And he's not wearing the coat, and you just never see it for the rest of the movie. It's just gone. Like, I feel like, yeah, there's just, like, a lot of fucked up shit that happens in this movie where like, there are costume changes in this movie there's just no explanation for, which, it's like, it further leads to, like, what the fuck is going on right now. I said, so maybe this movie seems to be, like, just a series of bits put together, but I guess that's all what comedy movies are, but, like, I just don't know. I'm confused right now. John Ritter said to Belushi, I didn't think you smoked. He said, only after sex. And so Ritter says, so not much. Belushi says, about a pack a day. And then Ritter says, that'll kill you. Belushi says, it won't kill you. You'll just be very sore. I was like, okay.
Yeah, whoever wrote the dialogue did a pretty good job.
Yeah, that's the problem is it's like their delivery, like they are not the issue with this movie, like at all. Like they're funny, and there's like stuff that happens in this movie that is funny. It's just bogged down by a bunch of other shit. So you want the bad news or the good news? First, what's the bad news? There's no out of here alive. What's the good news? Looks like we won't be here long. I was like, it was like legit, one after another, literally like, just like Abbott and Costello, Three Stooges, like, bits where it was like, this is clearly a fucking bit. You know, like, there's nothing tying this to the movie. It was just a bit. I mean, I guess that had something to do with it, but Belushi says that we fucked up and put something in the water that kills algae, and it goes all the way up the food chain, and all life on Earth will be dead in 5 years. And the UFO guys, like, know how to stop it, and all they want is a glass of water. It's 53 minutes into this movie, and I don't know what the fuck to do. Like, I'm watching this movie, and if they just went through all this, and they started walking, and they needed another car, and he said, I know exactly, there's one spot, we'll always be safe, and Ritter says, where? He says, here, and they're right at his mother's house, at Jim Belushi's fucking mother's house. Like, what the fucking shit? So that was my next note. Yeah, this is like a movie of, like, happy coincidences. It's very weird. Like,
yeah, this is about where things start to go off the rails.
Yeah.
For me. I stopped enjoying it quite as much.
So, I don't know if this is, like, next bit is inspired by Three's Company, because a lot of this kind of stuff happened in, like, you know, that show, kind of. It was, like, a 70s thing, but, like, John Ritter comes into the house, and Belushi and his mother go off in the next room after explaining that their dad's there and a couple of other people are there. He's like, oh, great, and a woman comes down the stairs and goes up to Ritter and, like, instantly starts, like, making out with him. And he's like, oh, I think you have the wrong person. And then, like, after a while, he's like, even though he has a wife, he just starts going for it and starts, like, making out with this random lady. And then Belushi and his mother come back in, and they stop. And John Belushi's like, oh, I see you've met my father. And he goes on to explain that his father had an operation when he went through his midlife crisis, and he flew to Sweden. So I guess, like, a sex change or something. And John Ritter's like, hi. And I was just like, okay. I mean, it wasn't like making fun of like anybody that was into that kind of, that was in that, that was their lifestyle, or like,
no, it's just,
it was just kind of like,
what we're doing here now, huh?
Exactly, yeah, it was just kind of like okay.
I did like at the end, there's a good call me joke.
Right, and he was like trying to get the fuck out.
In the 80s and 90s, like every movie had a call me joke.
Right.
You don't get those anymore.
You'll feel better when we get some seatbelts in here, Bob. I'll feel better when we get some seats. And they're like sitting on some crates. I was like, yeah. New Mexico, Wednesday. Happy Pie. Yeah, that was the thing.
Like Twinkies.
Yeah. He's trying to tell Belushi about a paper article of all the leaked secrets, and he's like grunting. He keeps doing it, and he's like, you got a bathroom? Like Belushi thinks that he's got to use the restroom, but he's like kind of like Men in Black, like, check out this fucking article, like, and he's like, hey, all these articles are straight out of the CIA files. I'm like, okay, look, legit on the front of the paper it just says like aliens are having a deal with CIA, and I'm like, you would think there would be like mass panic in the streets, but it's never like mentioned. It's like, okay. There's a part where John Ritter yells at Belushi in the movie, and I think that was like my funniest thing. Like, I thought that was hilarious, because he like has been dealing with his shit the whole movie, and like he runs off and like he's like, that fucking idiot. He didn't even know I had the map. Fuck, I gotta go back to help with the mission. So he runs back, and like he can't find the car, and he's like, shit, where the fuck is the car? And like so he finds that like he moved it. And he's like, oh, I moved it, just so, nobody would see it. And he's like, you didn't think about me? Like, you fucked up this mission. You could have totally screwed us over and all this other shit. And he's like, I'm sorry, Bob. He's like, you don't think about anybody but yourself. And he's like flipping out on him. He's like, get the fuck in the car. And he like yells at him. And he's like, get in the car. And he's just like, he just looks at him and walks off. And it's like the first time where like the roles are kind of reversed for a second. And I thought it was kind of funny. But speaking of role reversal, we'll talk about that in a little bit. So 54 minutes into this movie, and they're finally fully on the same team. I don't think I've ever seen a movie where this late into the film, the characters finally all get together for the journey. This movie is 1 hour, 25 minutes long, so there's not much left, I put. Indianapolis, Thursday. So what'd you think about this next part? Who are those clowns? Holy shit, clown attack!
Yeah, this is like it already hit low point with the when he goes to his family's house, and then this is the new low.
The holy shit clown attack was probably one of the funniest things though, where he says that, because it's like
yeah.
Well, it's like, so like John Ritter says, who are those clowns? It's like a Simpsons joke. You think it's like over, but it kept going. So it was like some of the jokes were actually fucking pretty good in this movie. But like he's like, who are these clowns? Or are those clowns? It pans over, they're actual clowns, and then fucking Belushi's like, holy shit, clown attack! Like he's like legit fucking scared. And then like John Ritter starts crying during this scene, which I thought was like, he was going to say he was afraid of clowns. No, he's just crying. Like, so Belushi tells John Ritter, he's like, you're asleep raging, like, you're a badass and all this other stuff. Like, you were programmed to be like, do all this awesome shit. And he's like, nuh-uh. And he's just like, how do you feel about me? He's like, I hate you. And he's like, see? You fucking, you're a badass. And he's like, you're right. Let's take these fuckers or whatever. And he goes out there and he instantly gets knocked out in the first punch. It's like, okay. I think one of the lamest things in this movie, though, is just this line here, where these guys are like dressed up as clowns. There's one dude left, and he says, I don't believe it. I'm working with a bunch of clowns. And then he runs off. I'm like, huh? Like, no shit. Like, you guys are all dressed as clowns. You're dressed as a clown. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, I don't know. I thought that was fucking weird. Not weird. It was just kind of lame. Belushi lays down and acts like Ritter did everything, and he's like, "Just kidding. You weren't actually a Russian secret spy." And he's like, "So I didn't knock these guys out?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, you did that." And he's like, one of the guys gets up and Ritter actually knocks the guy out, and like that guy's supposed to be like a high CIA agent, and Belushi's like, "Holy shit." Which, honestly, I felt like they could have cut out like some earlier stuff in this movie and actually had like this part of the movie take place a little bit earlier. Because like, to me, like when John Ritter started kind of becoming like a badass, like to a degree, like that kind of gave kind of an interesting dynamic to the movie. It was just kind of like the end of the movie was very short. Like they cut it off. Like literally that happened, and then like this movie is like, okay, get the shit over with. Like, you know what I mean? Like I said, I mean like they didn't even get on the same page until like there was like 25 fucking minutes left in this movie. That's like nothing. Like 25 minutes is like a sports montage. That's like in Hoosiers. That was like the last whole game. Pretty much. Or something. So like they have to pretty much...
It still manages to seem way longer than that.
Yeah, it's just... It there was a lot of unneeded stuff. They had some interesting premises in it, but like, yeah. Okay, Pittsburgh Thursday night. So I don't know what point this happened, but John Ritter is now wearing like this Darkwing Duck weird shirt that's got like buttons on it in the front, like a shield. It's black. I don't understand. I know he's been wearing it for a bit, but at what point did he like switch that out for his other shirt? You know what I mean? This is another one of these like weird costume changes that like I think they thought was like a good idea, and like amateur filmmakers like don't see as an issue, but like I don't know. It was just...
I didn't appreciate having to see a bunch of Steelers stuff when they go into the Steelers.
Dude, I actually wrote a thing about that. It was cracking me up. I put, "That was my seat. Guy at the bar wearing a Steelers hat. You gonna do something about it? If I have to." And then like John Ritter, one of his eyes like goes completely solid blue. And I don't mean like the fucking like just like the color part. Like, even the black part, it's, like, fucking solid blue. And then they're like, eh. And, like, the Steelers fans, like, leave like bitches. What do you have to say about that, Matt? Did you agree?
I didn't want to be in that
Was he a
place.
bitch?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah! John Ritter is a changed man now, I put. So... Belushi like picks up this lady, and like as soon as he brings her back to her place or follows her back, she's like into SM, and she's like calls him a slave, and it's like
What'd you think
go ahead.
of the music here? Did you notice that?
I can't really remember what it was.
Well, it plays the classic.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I was gonna make a note, but I forgot. Yeah, it was like, well, because it kept cutting back and forth between. So, there's like a Home Alone, like, wrecking ball that fucking comes out and knocks out fucking Belushi. And, like, it's cutting back and forth between, like, John Ritter, like, watching these guys, like, he's like, "Are those agents?" And he's like, "No, they're probably burglars. I'll be back in a bit, Bob." And, like, John Ritter is out there by himself, and he, like, starts to go stop these burglars. And he's, like, kicking ass and shit. But it cuts back and forth between, like, Belushi is being fucking electrocuted and beaten by a lady while John Ritter is, like, whipping the burglars' asses. So after this one night, Belushi and Ritter pretty much switch places, and Belushi is in love with this, like, S&M lady, and Ritter is, like, a no-nonsense guy. But, like, during this whole thing, it's, like, shit's fucking going on, and it's, like, the next day, like, the cops are there taking all these, like, burglars away, and, like, they call John Ritter Mr. like whatever his last name is, and it's like the funniest shit. Not the funniest shit, but it's like, huh? What's going on here? Like, I don't know. Belushi abandons the mission because he like wants to go back and be with like that lady. So like literally, he's become Bob and Bob has become him, and John Ritter like goes to Washington D.C. by himself on Friday. But for some reason now he's dressed like in a varsity jacket and he looks like fucking Captain N. Which, yeah, it's another costume change that like made no sense. I honestly think a lot of these costume changes were just to be like, hey, let's, we need Nick, or like we need like Belushi to look this certain way, or we need Ritter to look like a badass, so let's put him in this like thing. It's like, okay. It's Mahoney. He's gonna help us. Yeah, this part. So he does come back, and they like have to make it to this drop-off point. And like, there's this dude that's like, it's Mahoney, and he's like, he's gonna help us, and like Mahoney's like, I'm with you, Nick, and then he's like shot after killing one guy, and like, there's like an ADR line by Jim Belushi, and it's like, I don't think so, and I'm like, huh? It's like, that guy fucking gave his life for you. The main CIA guy was behind it the whole time, and he wants them to like redeem it for like the big gun. So the water. Belushi shot the arm twice, and Ritter says, I don't care if you kill him. This is bigger than us. Yeah, they get to the aliens, and the aliens are like lamer than fuck. They literally like it's like they talk to the aliens, and he's like, all life looks like humans, and I'm like, okay, so the aliens look just like us, and I'm like, I mean, everybody knows exactly why that is. It's because they didn't want to actually spend any money on, like, like an alien prop or anything.
Well, they did the same thing in Star Trek. Remember that? They found like one of the most ancient races, and they're like, well, all life in the universe is humanoid. So they couldn't explain why they never had any real outrageous weird aliens. It was all humanoid.
Like in the original series.
And Next Generation.
Because I was gonna say, like in like Voyager and other shows, they like actually introduce actual alien species.
Yeah, they eventually got around to it.
Because they weren't cheap fucks. So they actually were aliens and not just some code name, which that shocked the fuck out of me. But it wasn't like shocking, like if real alien life was a thing. It was like, okay, like. Okay, so
you mean you weren't as shocked by this movie as you would be? I can't believe it.
Okay, I fucked up. What I meant was, I don't know what I meant. This movie fucked me, man. So I think what I'm trying to.
We're making it sound pretty good by talking through it. Like,
I mean,
there's enough stuff in here to make it worthwhile.
Right. Apparently the milkman was delivering milk to like John Ritter's wife. Extra milk. So
Belushi knows, I had the freshest cottage cheese I've ever had.
Right. Which he was right about that, but he was like wrong that she was like actually cheating on him. It was just that he was like, the guy was trying to get with his wife. And so like he goes to get the kid's bike back, and he's like whipping the fuck out of the dudes, but like it's like even with his new skills, it's like the lamest shit ever.
What an oaf.
That guy just got like,
one of the dudes is named
the oaf. He knocks out the milkman. Try to be more sensitive, freeze frame. That's the end of the fucking movie. So I think what I'm trying to say about this is that like, I would not have been shocked. In fact, I was actually thinking that the aliens weren't real, and it was just gonna be like someone named UFO, or like, you know what I mean, like a code name, or like, but no.
That's funny. I didn't think that. Because as much wacky stuff was happening in this movie, I was like, oh, okay, aliens. All right.
Well, no, I mean they just played it down so much. Like they didn't like make it a big deal, which I was kind of like, I think that would have been kind of a huge deal, but it got to the end of the movie, and it was just like, aliens exist, and like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I guess I was just kind of like anticlimactic to a degree, but whatever. It wasn't something to like fucking, I was like flipping my shit about. It's not like that was a thing that, that wasn't that on the list of things that need to be changed about, or fucking that could use some work in this movie. I wasn't like losing sleep over that. So I know last time I introduced the goof segment to this movie. Do you want me to even do that this time?
I looked at the goofs, and I mean, I don't think there's much.
They're fucking pretty fucking lame. Notable. Yeah, it's like I'll get. There's a bunch.
The whole movie is a goof.
But I'll give one. I'll just give one, and I have a bunch here, but I'll just give one to let you know how lame the fucking goofs are in this movie. So when Bob confronts the bullies in the garage, the leader of the group is initially wearing sneakers. When he when he trips Bob a minute later, he is seen wearing flip-flops. Wow. Who gives a fuck? Okay, so this is the segment here that I've added called Would You Recommend This Movie? Would you recommend this movie, Nathaniel?
I have to say no, unless it was for like a very specific person who liked really weird offbeat humor.
Or if you were nominated it on a podcast.
Yeah. But, I mean, like we said, there's enough funny... I mean, there's some truly funny stuff in it, so I can't dismiss it and say it's terrible. Right,
I think I could, like, recommend somebody to watch this movie one time. This is not a movie I don't think you will ever want to watch more than once. Unless you grew up on this movie. Like, if, like, literally this was a movie that, like, you hold near and dear to your heart. Like, some, you know, like, I think, Eric was telling me the reason why he even, like, knew about this movie is his dad liked it when he was a kid. So he grew up thinking it was, like, hilarious and stuff.
Yeah. Which
makes a ton of sense because, you know, this movie is very dad joke-like and, you know, that kind of stuff. I'm on the fence about this movie because as much as I, like, came through this movie and, like, it sounded like it was a chore to talk about, like, there are genuinely funny things in this movie. Like, there are a lot of parts in this movie that, like, were funny. There were, like, ideas in this movie. Like, I thought, like, John Ritter finally getting confidence and, like, kind of becoming, like, more of a badass was kind of a cool thing and, like, stuff.
And there's plenty of, like, really clever dialogue.
But the problem is there's, like, certain parts drag on too long and, like, literally there are, like, multiple times when they're, like, outgunned by, like, dudes outside of a building. And you're like, okay, dude, you already did this, like, once in the movie. Like, and it kind of, like, the second or third time they do it, it's like, okay.
It really drags on.
Right.
It's just so bad.
Right. That and it's like, I understand Bob being like, dude, like everything else, it's hard for me to even talk about this fucking movie, like, in a certain way. So, I don't know, man. Like, because it's like, what the fuck do I even say? Like,
I think you've said it.
I know. It's just hard for me to, like, express everything I want to say about this movie because it's so middle of the road for me. It's like, great things about this movie, and there was a shit ton of stuff that I didn't like about this movie. Like, everybody but the main two actors were, like, limp fucking dicks in this movie. Like, I don't know. But we actually, we have our next movie. So, okay, so Yurimatsu just used points to redeem a movie. So we'll actually, I guess we have two movies now. Not for next week, but we have a movie. Last night, somebody actually already redeemed points for a movie. So we'll do that one first, and then we'll do, the week after that, we'll do this movie that, let me write it down here real quick. Also, this is somebody that's, like, new that hasn't nominated a movie before. So we have to, I'm going to do precedence over other, you know, like, older ones. But definitely we'll watch it. Let's see here. So, Next week, we will be watching Strange Brew. Was nominated by Protocaster Gaming on Twitch, and also a friend of the podcast, Andrew. And then the week after that, I guess we were already stocked up 2 weeks in a row, is The Wailing 2016. It was just nominated by Yurimatsu, our friend Kevin. I do not know. I don't think I've ever seen The Wailing before. So
I don't even know what that is.
yeah. So that'll be interesting. So next week is Strange Brew with Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas, I think. And
with the 80s
yeah, by Protocaster. And then after that, we're gonna circle back around to the first nomination, or the first person to nominate something, Yurimatsu, where he's picked out The Wailing. So The Wailing is a Korean horror suspense movie. So interesting. Okay, this will be our first like truly horrific movie. Well, actually, I think this is our first truly horrific movie to a degree. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to make it through The Wailing without fucking shitting my pants. You know me in horror movies.
You'll be bailing on The Wailing.
I'll be shitting on. Okay, we can just move on. Any other thoughts on this week's topic, real men?
Yeah, I wanted to end final thoughts with a couple Jim Belushi movies and John Ritter movies that I really like.
Okay, yeah, this is a good idea. This is based on real men. If you like these two actors, John Ritter and Jim Belushi, recommendation. Go ahead.
First with John Ritter, I never watched Three's Company.
Fair enough, yeah. Oh shit! Hold on. Go ahead. Start again. I'm sorry. I was typing and I fucking muted myself. You never saw Three's Company?
Yeah, I never saw Three's Company. I knew of it,
right?
But the first time I ever saw him, and the movie I always think of him the most of is Sling Blade.
Okay, yeah.
John Ritter. That's one of my favorite movies, and John Ritter is amazing in it. He plays a gay character.
Okay.
That was the first time I'd ever seen a gay character who wasn't portrayed as a stereotype.
Right, yeah.
This was the mid '90s, back when pretty much the norm.
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead. He's awesome in that.
I mean, even in Three's Company, he plays a character that has, a straight guy that has to pretend he's gay. That's the premise of the fucking show.
Yeah.
So he can stay with these two women so that he can pretty much live there, because it was super expensive and stuff, where he was living. But he didn't act super effeminate or anything. He wasn't I don't know. I'm trying to think of everybody knows the gay stereotype that they've done forever.
Marie still talking.
Right, that kind of shit where it's okay, dude, but
So yes,
yeah.
Sling Blade, if you haven't, it's a really, really awesome movie.
Yeah.
And then Jim Belushi's in a couple of movies I really like. Red Heat with Arnold, where he and Arnold are buddies.
Oh yeah, isn't Arnold a Russian dude in that movie?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good movie, and I think Jim Belushi is actually pretty solid in that one.
Yeah, I don't have anything against Jim Belushi or John Ritter. I think they're both awesome actors. It was like I was saying, if there was if they weren't in this movie probably would have been the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. Because their chemistry and their delivery made they gave so much confidence and believability to what they were saying that I was okay, whatever. I mean, it's a fucking goofy ass movie, but they were legit. So
yeah, and then one more is Thief, directed by Michael Mann. It's one of his first movies, but Jim Belushi has a smaller part in that. It was actually his first movie.
Oh, okay.
But Thief is a badass movie. It's great.
Who is this Michael Mann?
Who is that man?
Michael
Mann, my favorite director.
Ah!
director of Collateral and Heat.
Who's like the main actor in Thief?
James Caan is the thief of Thief.
The Thief of Thieves.
It's just a good heist movie, good action drama.
He's the Lord of Lord, the Thief of Thieves, the King of Kings. Triple H.
Donkey.
the King of King, the Kong of Kongs. They should have brought fucking Donkey Kong in for Kong versus Godzilla, dude. That would have been the real fucking deal.
All right, that's my final thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Okay.
For allowing me.
Sorry for breathing. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, man. Everybody check out those other movies. I would say watch those before you watch this movie. Next time we'll be back with Strange Brew, and then the week after that we're already piled up with 2, so we're doing The Wailing the week after that. So yeah, I'll let, as usual, as the
Oh, The Wailing, a nice 2 hours and 36 minutes.
Is it?
Great. Yeah. Talk about your all-time backfires.
Well,
Last time we let people pick movies. Just kidding.
that's the whole that's our whole gimmick now, brother. We're fucked. I'm just like lucky nobody's like fucking nominated a fucking like 10-hour epic or anything like that. So, and since I've said that, someone's probably gonna do it. So, anyway.
And if anyone picks Space Jam, I'm done.
Well, I'll make another account, and I'm like, Space Jam. Also, fuck Baby's Day Out, and you're just like, there goes my hero. Watch him as he dies. I'm like, shit. That's actually something we're gonna have to do. No. We're gonna have to do like a thing where we watch Space Jam and we watch Baby's Day Out, and then we both like talk about what we think.
Well, that'll be the final episode of the show.
Yeah, and at the end of the show, you'll just hear a gunshot, double gunshots. Because we'll have killed fucking the directors of both. Yeah. I don't know if I'll let you go ahead and finish it off here, sir. Say your piece. I'm like, say your piece and make your fucking piece. Yeah, it was fun, as usual.
Sorry for breathing.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming by, everybody, and we'll see you next Saturday, 6 p.m. for the nomination of Strange Brew.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. Well, I'll be back here in a little bit, I think, as long as everything works out with more of the stream. But the podcast portion is over, so I will end the stream and come back in just a bit.